Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. We're here at the cargo hub where we'll be doing some more work today by bringing in another food line, because currently we only have one of those coming to the cargo hub, and pretty soon it'll be pretty helpful to get a second one in here. So taking a look at all the resources that we're bringing into the cargo hub right now, I believe we only have one industry providing all of the resources, and then we have a second industry bringing in construction materials and tools. So we have two construction material industries bringing in resources to the cargo hub, and two tool industries bringing tools into here, and everything else is still sort of just on one industry. For instance, we only have one goods factory that's running on this map right now, and I believe it's the same for machines. We only have one machines factory running. So, again, working towards our goal of getting two industries for each resource coming into the cargo hub. That should be enough to provide for the whole map, but this episode, we'll be getting more food coming in here. Currently, this is our only area of production for food, and it's been doing pretty well for us. Its production is actually down a little bit. I think we can come through and upgrade a bunch of these trucks, as these are some pretty old trucks that we have running here. We can balance these out and make sure we're getting as much as we can out of it. So we'll do that first. We might also have to fix this traffic issue before we do that, and then we will set up our other farm once we get there. So first and foremost, I think I want to get our bus network fixed up so that we can get rid of the traffic here, since we do have some trucks coming from our food processing plant going up to Sacramento. So I think the most obvious culprit is Modesto, and I think Modesto is getting a little too broken up for a single loop. So maybe we'll have one loop that covers this area of the city, and then another loop that covers this area of the city. I think that might be a good split, or maybe we'll do this way and then this way. We'll see what comes out of it, but this is pretty much going to be a starting from scratch type of situation where we'll be deleting all the bus stops. We might even add a bus station as sort of a big transfer station for all of our buses. Alright, so we have our bus station placed down, and we cleared out the whole lot, so we could probably get like a parking lot and some details in here. So that's exactly what we're going to do here real quick. It's not going to be anything too big and special, since it is a pretty tight urban area. So there's really not much space to do anything anyway, but we'll do what we can. And then once we have just a simple parking lot down, we will get to setting up the rest of the lines. Okay, so actually first what we're going to do is set up our bus lines first before we let it run, because I think last time we did this, it gave us an issue and the game froze as soon as I unpaused after we were done detailing this station, and I'm not sure why it froze. It could have been because there's no bus network here. All of a sudden the entire city has to recalculate how it's going to move. So maybe that's why it froze, I'm not sure, but I think I want to get our bus networks running before, and make sure the game runs properly before we get into detailing that station. So anyway, starting here, let's get our first loop set up, and this is going to come up into this area. We'll come up here, pretty much come all the way around, probably up into this area, and then come back down. Okay, so I think this is a good loop for this side of the city, and then working our way around that. I think we'll start here, and then coming up to the train station is a good one, because that'll cover this area, and then we can just come around and get to all the buildings that are on this side of the city. Alright, now I think we have our 2 loops ready to go. Let's just go find our first line, and we'll completely start this by scratch. I think we'll start on this side first, since that's the one we built first. But we'll just go around, and we'll have it all connected up like so. Then we'll go the opposite direction with this line. And then next we'll have to create our own line. So we'll go with these New Flyer D40 buses, and for the bus loop we'll get 14. Those will go from here to the train station and then just around like so. We'll do the same thing in the opposite direction, and then we should be good to let it play out. Alright, so this seems to be working out pretty well. I'm tempted to move our regional bus line to here, but I think we'll leave it here since it's a more direct connection to this train station. So hopefully there won't be any issues with that, and once these buses get going, hopefully we'll see a lot of this traffic start to decline. Alright, and then lastly we'll come to Stockton and just quickly add a few lines out here real quick. So let's see if we can find a good spot for a bus stop. I think we'll just get one up here and then another one down in this area as soon as the game's done saving. And then over on this end, it looks like we pretty much cover this side of the harbor, so we'll just have one stop on this end, and that should be good enough. We'll go around and add a second stop to all of the current ones, and then from there we should be able to set up everything else. Alright, so we set up our new line, and all of our buses are starting to come out and make their way towards the city. So once they get there, that should also solve some of our traffic problems here in Stockton. So anyway, we'll leave all this alone for now. Hopefully this traffic will start to clear up, but next what I wanted to do was come in and upgrade these trucks and rebalance all these lines, as these are some pretty old trucks that we're still running through here. So first of all, we take a look at the rate for each of these. We want this at the 400 range because that's the most the farms can produce. So first, let's sell off a ton of vehicles because we definitely don't need 30 of them. So selling 10 of those gets us just to 400 alone with these trucks. And because we'll be pretty much doubling the capacity, we can probably sell half of them. And so then now, when we come in to replace these, we can find a truck that would work pretty well. We have these trucks here, and this has quite a couple of variants, which is pretty cool, and it has some for grain, some specifically for grain, which is pretty cool. So I think maybe we'll try out these trucks on this line. And so we can see that brings our rate up to 408, which is exactly where we need it to be. You can see one of our new trucks here. So this is pretty cool to see. We'll do this for the rest of the grain lines, and then we'll see sort of where we land after all of that. So really where this should leave us off is our production should eventually even out around 600 because we only have 3 farms. And because it's a 2-to-1 ratio for grain, we would need 4 farms to max out this food processing plant, which is why we're then going to connect up this farm over here, fully max out this food processing plant, and then start up on bringing more food to the cargo hub then. So I think we'll use this farm here, as this seems like a good location. We just have to figure out how we're going to get out of here. So let's just see if we can drag this along like so, and then we can start to curve it around and bring it back. And I think we'll connect to this road somewhere right about here, and that'll be pretty much good enough to have trucks running. Alright, so here's what our truck station's going to look like here. We'll smooth out and clear up the terrain around it. Add a few assets to make it blend in, and I'm not really sure if we need to do too much more here in terms of detailing. This farm's pretty natural looking and the fields are nice and big, so I'm pretty happy with just leaving this farm how it is. I don't think it really needs anything too much more or anything too special to go along with it. Alright, so here's where we're going to leave this farm off as. We just simply have one barn, sort of a storage shed for hay, and then sort of a field for cows and stuff to come out of the barn here. And this looks pretty good. I quite like it. I think it blends in pretty well. And we just have to set up some vehicles to run. Alright, so we'll leave this go for now. We'll let that run, and this should balance out to about, well, I guess it should balance out to its full production value, but we'll continue to keep an eye on that. I think next what we want to do is make sure our boats are shipping enough, because they're only moving the food to the cargo hub at a rate of 340, which is pretty low. So we'll probably want to grab these and maybe even see if there's better boats available to us now. So we might go with these Merlin boats. That'll bring our rate up just a little bit. We'll duplicate these, see how high that gets us. We'll probably want to be in the 600 to 700 range just because we are sending food directly to Santa Clarita at a rate of 200. And if we take a look at the consumers, well, I guess Santa Clarita is technically consuming at a rate of 47, so we probably don't even need that many boats going to Santa Clarita, but so I suppose we'll get one more on here. That should bring us up to pretty close to 700, and I'll be happy with that. So the next thing we really have to hope for is that this traffic will start to clear up. If not, we might have to look into what exactly is causing this. If it wasn't the uncovered areas of the cities with our bus networks, but we'll continue to keep a close eye on it, and if it still persists or anything like that, we'll have to look into maybe more drastic changes to help with it. So anyway, let's move on and figure out where we're going to get food going to the cargo hub from next. And I think that new food processing plant we're going to build up is right here at this Santa Clarita food processing plant. This one seems to be the closest and makes the most sense. And I think how we're going to do it is by bringing the grain in from these farms over here just outside of Modesto. Modesto seems to be really the place to grow grain, I guess. But we'll grab grain from these farms, bring it over to the food processing plant, and then getting it back to the cargo hub, I'm conflicted on if we'll want to do it by train or by truck. However, I suppose if we had another bridge in here, it wouldn't be too bad to truck it in, so we might just go with that, so we can continue to have a variety of vehicles flowing into the cargo hub. But with that, let's get started with it. So obviously what we're going to have to do is figure out where we're going to get this train coming out of these farms, and I think here seems like a pretty good spot because it's pretty level and we'll be able to connect up to these tracks pretty easily without issue. We will cut into some of the fields here, but I suppose we can always come back and replace those, so I think let's roll with that. We'll clear out these trees real quick just so we can see what we're doing. So this will probably be a pretty large train station. because these trains are probably going to be pretty big considering it will be moving 3 farms worth of grain. So we'll place that there. We'll configure this, and we'll replace our main buildings here. So something like this should work out fairly decently. We'll come through and we'll flatten the terrain. And then we'll need a spot for all of our trucks to come in. And I think this is going to be where we remove these, and we'll get one of these types of truck stations sort of placed right in here, tucked along the tracks. But first we'll have to fix the landscaping to make sure it will end up at the right level. And so now that we've done that, we can come in and we can change the terminal length to, I'd say 60 is probably good. We'll get 3 terminals in here. We'll keep them as the country road. Street connection length will go up a fair amount. And so this will be our truck station. So this is where all the drop-offs will go. We'll have 1 platform for each farm, and we should be good to go from there. So we'll redo this road so that everything ends up getting connected. And then once we're done with that, we can set up our truck stations at each farm. Alright, so now this whole area is finished for, I guess for now. I'm not sure if we'll add more details in later, but next we will want to get a truck loading stop. And I think one of these would fit almost right perfectly in here if we can get the streets to work properly. Alright, so this should work, and I think we'll place down a few details, and maybe we'll try to blend these farms together so that it looks more continuous and full, but I don't really think there's much more that we can really do or add right here, but we'll add a few things and then move on from that. Alright, so here's what these farms are going to look like. We tried to blend them in as best as possible, and I think it came out pretty alright. There's some areas that definitely could use some improvement, but I think for now this is more than good enough. So anyway, moving on, the next connection we need to make is to this farm, and I think this can be made simply right here, and then we'll have to bring it around to this road. So let's first get this in. This could probably be a lot shorter, and I don't think we'll really do much with it. We'll probably just place it, and that'll be all that we do, as I think it looks pretty fine how it is. But then we'll bring a road out this way. We'll get a nice little bridge going across this sort of lake. I kind of like the idea of a stone bridge, so we'll do that. Unfortunately, we can't really change the road textures. I think that's just due to a mod that we have, but I like how a stone bridge looks and feels there. So now that's connected up. And then lastly, this farm's already connected by road. I think really all we'll do is expand the farm just a little bit, and then we'll get a stop in here, and then we'll connect up the train. So I think this will be where we leave this farm off. We're going a little minimal on details here at the moment just because I want to get this set up for the sake of time. So now that we have all 3 of these connected, let's go over to our food processing plant. So this will be the food processing plant that we connect to, and I think here we'll grab a terminus station. We'll get this one lined up so it faces out along the river pretty well, probably right about there. We'll come back and connect up the road better. So there we go. We just had to move it. I didn't really like where it was, but so we'll just simply connect this up like that, and then connect this road up to here, and then all we have to do is connect our tracks up, and then set up everything, and it should be up and running. So starting over here near Modesto, we'll have to go pretty much immediately underground, where some point in here will connect to these tracks right before it merges with everything else. So I think we'll build this like so. We'll bring out the second set of tracks. And then now what we can do is hopefully just drag this pretty much right into here. It seems like our slopes are not perfectly aligned, so let's pull this back and we'll try that again. So now here we have a pretty decent connection. We will smooth this out a little bit, get it looking a little more natural. So I like how that is. We'll get some signals in while we're at it. And then pretty much that'll follow this set of tracks all the way to the cargo hub here, where we'll have it bypass this station, come right through, and then connect up over here. So unfortunately what I think this means is that we'll have to get rid of these cranes that we put in before. As cool as they are, at this point they're getting in the way of us being efficient here. Maybe we can re-add them somewhere over here if we ever get to building a larger sort of yard area. But right now it's just taking up unnecessary space. So after we come through here, we'll continue on with our tracks. And we'll get these going straight out for a little bit, just like all the other ones. So right about there, although I'm not sure why these aren't connected. Maybe we have to go the other way. Alright, so now these are connected. We can bring them out and over to where it'll align with our train station up here. So we'll get to curve just a bit more, like so. And then here we can bridge across the river. So this will need to be high enough that it allows ships under. And let's just switch to a different bridge type for now, just so we can sort of get a clearer idea. So I think a bridge like this isn't too terrible. It gets us pretty close. And we want to keep it snapped straight. And I believe we have a few more bridge types unlocked if we wanted to take a look at those. So we have this one, which is pretty interesting, but I don't think it really... Well, I guess that one wouldn't be too bad. So let's go ahead and add this bridge in. And then we'll bring across the other set. So that still allows boats to go underneath. And it looks pretty decent for a bridge. So lastly, we should just have to drag these over and connect. Pretty easy. We'll add crossovers at each end of the tracks. And we'll make sure to add some here at the cargo hub, just in case if for some reason it needs to go by one of these. And lastly, we'll add one out here, like so. I'm not too sure what's going on here. Hopefully if we just update the terrain, that seems to have fixed it. But I think that should be it. We just have to upgrade this small section that we forgot to do high speed, put in our signals, and then we should be able to get all of our vehicles attached. Alright, so let's get this rolling from this road depot. I think we'll grab a few of these open top trucks, and we'll get, I'd say probably 4 of them, and those are going to be the ones that go from here to here. We'll get these trucks, slightly different. We'll see how much 7 does for us between here and here. And then lastly, we'll use a slightly different type of truck. And for this, we'll get 12 of these. to go from this farm all the way down to the train station. So we'll let those run for a bit, and then we'll come back and check the rates once they're sort of set up. And while we wait for that, we will get our train set up between here and the food processing plant. Alright, so I think this will be the train we go with. It is 2 of these engines here, EMD F40PH, and a bunch of these new gondola cars that have a top speed of 99 miles an hour. I think we'll start this off with 3 trains, and those will go from our train station here all the way over to this food processing plant. And just to clarify so there's no confusion, we'll set this up properly, and those trains should start to go out on their way. And so the last thing we need to do quickly to finish it up and get demand is build this road, and then I think we'll get a bridge that just simply comes across here. We'll have to find... yeah, this seems like a good spot. We'll just do this, a nice simple concrete bridge, just like so. We'll upgrade this road all the way to here just so it makes sense. And then we'll plop down a quick truck station. And again, this is only temporary. We'll come back and redo this later. I just want to get this line set up so we can start getting the resources to the cargo hub. So then to bring all that food in here, we'll grab some of these trucks that will come from here all the way over to our unload truck stop in the cargo hub, and we'll be sure to set it properly so things don't go really weird. And so that should be it. We'll double check the lines as soon as they get spread out on their respective lines and once resources start flowing, but for now I think we're in a pretty good position. So while we wait for that to happen, we can watch our new train come out of the cargo hub here, and as soon as it's done autosaving, we'll be able to see what the whole thing looks like. There we go, but I think this looks like a nice modern cargo train. I hope it does well. We have 3 of them, and it should be able to get up to its top speed in a pretty decent amount of time. If we speed this up, I don't think we'll see it get there, but its running cost is about 6.3 million a year, which is something we might have to keep an eye on. That is maybe on the higher end, but maybe because we're moving resources faster, that'll get us more money. Not too sure, but we'll just have to keep a close eye on that. So it looks like we already have some grain popping up here. Let's check our line rates and adjust where needed. So this one, we can probably get rid of one of our trucks. That should get us pretty much where we need to be. If we get any lower, that'll take out a pretty big chunk of our numbers. As for this line over here, this one is almost double what we need. So let's sell 3 of those, and that should be good for us. And then lastly, we have this line here, which is actually pretty close, but we could still probably sell 2 vehicles and be just fine with that. And so now checking in on our grain line, let's see the rate number here. It's at 755, which I think is pretty good for now. With 3 farms, the maximum is 600, but I'm hoping eventually we can connect up another one, or maybe we'll just bring in an external one somewhere over here, because there are farms out this way that we can supplement at the food processing plant. So I think we'll leave those trains as they are. I'm perfectly fine with that. And then these trucks, I'm not sure if it will have updated yet, but the rate for this is 319, and we'll want that up closer to 800. So we'll double this, and I think we'll be good with 638 for now, because again, what's currently set up can only produce a maximum of 600, but it does leave us room to grow as we get closer to a fully maxed out food processing plant. So lastly, let's just see how things are going. Where we fixed things earlier, it looks like traffic between Modesto and Sacramento has almost entirely cleared up. We have a little bit of a line here, but I think that's just the residual traffic. So it looks like it was our bus coverage that was sort of blocking a lot of our trucks in traffic. So that works out pretty well. If we double check this, turns out we might have a few extra trucks running here. If we sell 2 of those, that'll bring us down to 286, which I'm okay with. Actually, we need this to be up at 400, so my bad. We actually want maybe 3 of these. So that should balance us out pretty well there. And hopefully, it looks like this food processing plant is slowly climbing up towards the 800 number. I think we'll just have to keep an eye on this port and make sure that we're getting everything out of here and nothing's building up. But this boat just left very full with food, so that's very promising to see. And I think really that's all that we're going to do now. So that's going to be all that we do in this video. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.